let's take the America that was sold to you, me, and everybody else in 4th grade history class, of the strong, brave, courageous Americans that stood up for their independence. And let's take that version and ask ourselves, are we anywhere near that?
Now you got to remember though, like a lot of the founding fathers actually fought in the Revolution. I mean, they know what it's like to lose blood for your own country. But I mean, and the weird part about it was, when they fought the Revolution, they weren't actually Americans. I mean, we're talking about guys from England that fought their own country. And I mean, right nowadays, I mean, we were pretty much, we're sleeping right now. I mean, this is our country, and it's already been taken over again by the banks. I mean,
but I think it was done while we were sleeping. I think it was done while generations were sleeping. But I think that right now, the fact that we're having this conversation right now means that people are waking up. How many times have you been in a conversation like this, and somebody says to you, or you've said, yeah, I see it, but what can I do? I'm only one person. Yeah, I see that if we did this, this would work, but we got to get everybody behind us.
I mean, we see point A and we see point B. We need a bridge to get there. And like, what are the actual steps we got to take? Because I don't know, honestly. Like, I know the problem. I see a solution. How do we eliminate the problem? I mean, and we could probably all agree what the problem is. I mean, the problem's at, the 1%. They're the ones causing the problems. I mean, most Americans right now, I mean, we're just working. We just want to live. We just want a good life.
First off, I totally agree with that if you talk to anybody, if you talk to the average person in the United States, or if you talk to the average person in Iraq or Iran or North Korea, and all these places that they vilify, Russia, the average person in all those countries just wants the exact same thing that you want.
Would you kind of consider it a class warfare system?
I totally consider it a class warfare system. I mean,
you got the middle class and the lower class, and then the upper middle class, which is like your doctors and lawyers. That they're really just upper middle class. They're not the elitists. And then you got your billionaires and trillionaires up on the top.
Right.
And I mean, I really feel like it's the people on the top trying to get, a little bit of conflict between the lower class and the middle class. And I think that's what it comes down to in this country. It's mostly fear. I mean, we want security.
Right. I've heard it said that all media is a way for rich people to scare the hell out of the middle class by using the poor.
It's like, there's a reason we have the lower class, to scare the shit out of the middle class.
Right.
A lot of it is the lower class it's gaining ground right now. I mean,
we
got 1 in 6 people are on food stamps right now. I mean, that's ridiculous.
If we were living in an actual free market, real economy, it would be based on supply and demand, and the price of everything would be what the market can bear. But right now, it has nothing to do with what the market can bear. It has to do with how much debt is being pushed.
You can't let a banking system control the currency. And I think that's why a lot of the money value that we have right now depreciated. But would you agree that, that's pretty much where the root of this all happened?
Absolutely.
Because when the centralized bank took over, I mean, it kind of set a precedent that the country could be bought.
And they're loaning you money that they do not have because that money is fake. So thus, the entire economy is fictional.
Money should actually have a value.
Absolutely.
Now, the problem is, I think that a lot of people don't understand right now is that when you have money, all right, it's $1. I mean, it's basically used to pay debt, right? It's not backed by anything hard. I mean, it used to be backed by gold. It's not. I mean, if you're assuming that your dollar represents a certain amount of gold in a vault somewhere, you're mistaken. That's not the truth. There is no gold in a vault somewhere that you can't go to that represents the value of your money. That's a myth. That's what you're led to believe. You're led to believe that this represents this much gold.
Well, that's what they were led to believe.
That's the value. I mean, it's not true, though. I mean, it's not. And most of the money in the Federal Reserve isn't actually real money. I feel it's weird that a private company has the power to do something like that.
It's absurd. If you take it back to the Federal Reserve level, it's even more absurd than that. The government says this is how much money we're going to need for our budget. Federal Reserve rolls that money out. This is the certain amount of money that's in there. We're loaning it to you at interest.
Yeah.
We're not making enough money to actually pay the interest. If I create $1 and I give it to you at interest, and I didn't create a second dollar, how do I make up for the interest that was just accumulated? You can't. It's not supposed to be paid back. It is masked slavery, and once you recognize that it is actual slavery, that is when I got, at least, that gut instinct like, oh, I can't play ball with this anymore because I will not, whether it's an actual shackle and a whip up against a tree, or the fact that I have to go do a job every single day that I absolutely can't stand just in order to barely get by. How many people are in that situation right now in the United States?
Yeah, you're bringing up a good point, though. I think we were talking about that like before this. I mean, the cost of living right now for one income is ridiculous. I mean, one income used to be enough to support a family.
Yeah.
If you were to, let's say, eliminate the idea of a Federal Reserve, what would the alternative be?
I got plenty of ideas myself.
Let's hear 'em.
I've heard many others. You have a currency, a local currency up in Ithaca. I don't know exactly how they decide how much money they're printing, but it is a competing currency that works in their town. We've gotten into a lot of history already, and theories and ideas about what's worked, what hasn't worked. The point in the matter that we were trying to get at really there was that there's no reason that humanity's not always going to be evolving, always learning from its past, taking examples, pieces from other things that have worked a little bit, modifying them so that they can be better. Like, I don't know if do you know who William Cooper was?
Nah, you gotta enlighten me a little bit on this.
Right. Well, I was just going to be a quote from him, but he was one of the original alternative media guys. He had a show in the 80s and 90s that was a shortwave radio show that people used to tune into and listen to. And what he said was the problem, and he put it in a nutshell in one sentence, is you have a small group of people who have become adept at controlling everybody else through subtle means. And over the course of generations and centuries, they've gotten better and better and better at it, and have controlled more and more of a population.
I'm not gonna deny that at all.